Hello everyone. Okay. Well, I'm gonna try and read the next chapter. It is 7:23 p.m. My mom and brother are gone, so I can record chapter 7. Now, I know last chapter I was stuttering and failing to speak, but oh god, I can't just. When do I not fail to speak? Let's turn this up so I can walk away from the computer. And until it's one person talking to me. I'm gonna need but this is now 7:24. As of now. Now, everyone, I really hope this recording will be better. Let's hope. Let's cross our fingers and hope. Oh, I actually tried to do this 20 minutes ago. Did not work. So we're going to try again 20 minutes later. Probably won't work, but might work. Why is this chair going so far back? Oh, I'm sitting in this chair. Oh my god, the one that makes me feel like I'm gonna fall. I don't need to fall though. But anyway, so chapter 7. The 5-dimensional door. Yeah, I gotta talk over that. So this is basically like me yelling. I talk like this when I'm doing a presentation in front of a class, and then my English teacher's just like, speak louder. Come on, speak louder. Like, I can't speak louder. They're just like, they don't understand. I do have a quiet voice. So do other people in my class. But I can't speak louder. Just like this. So anyways, this is chapter 7. The 5-dimensional door. You'll understand why it's called this. And like near the end of the chapter. Chapter's only 10 pages long, so if I am having trouble speaking, I don't care. I need to get this recorded. And I have been recording 2 videos a day. And so for now, 2 videos a day will be readings, or 1 reading and a drawing. But since I'm failing to talk, even though reading is one where I have to talk for the longest, well, to do a drawing tutorial wouldn't be the best thing. It really wouldn't. Guys, to do a tutorial, I have to talk fluidly and not make mistakes, whereas you all know I make mistakes in these anyways. So, and then I read over what I just read, and so you expect those mistakes here. You don't expect them in my drawing tutorials. So, until I can talk properly without stuttering, and I know it sounds like I'm not stuttering right now, but that's because I planned out what I was gonna say before I started reading. Yeah. So, yeah, that's that. Please don't tell me they're home. Okay, good, they're not. They're not home. Yeah, it's a good thing. I have to tell you guys, once I can find, or if anyone wants to link me to something, if anyone wants to link me to episode 1, for those of you who watch my reactions, for those of you who want to link me to episode 1 of My Little Pony, season 1, or just or episode 1 and 2, I would greatly appreciate that, because then I also don't have to do much talking in that video, whereas my other 2 kinds of videos, it's all talking. Yeah, and anyways, I have my voice back. It's not failing anymore, other than the whole stuttering. I won't be like trying to clear my throat and trying to get my voice back. I won't be croaking, so at least that's good, right? Right? Yeah, so Chapter 7, 5-dimensional door. You guys can make your assumptions. If you already know what a 5-dimensional door is, you know what will be near the end of this chapter. There's only 10 pages, so it won't be that long of a chapter, which is why I'm talking so much. Anywho, I need to put these screwdrivers down. Why am I even playing with them? Do not think of that dirtily. Please do not. Guys, my brother had this done weirdly. Anyways, chapter 7, 5-dimensional door, and let's go into this this world. Also, I may have got someone into the books without them really. I don't know if they know about my reading. Well, they do now, but I didn't know if they knew about the readings before, or if they did, they just didn't want to watch or listen to them. And well, I got them to kind of rent out the first book, and they're gonna be reading along with my videos, or just basically all that other stuff. I just got a message, so I gotta try and get up out of this chair that just doesn't like me. Okay, let's go. Go up here to the computer table. I might just record here. Okay. This person said hi to me earlier, and I say hi. There was no. And speaking of this person, when I was talking about her, messages me. That's great, isn't it? Now let's turn this down, as I'm having to yell a lot. So, the 5-dimensional door. I'm just going to record this at the computer. So, yes. And so let's go ahead and get started with this. Madame Dorothy's apartment seemed to have roughly the same layout as Clary's, though she made a different use of the space. The entryway, reeking of incense, was hung with bead curtains and astrological posters. One showed the constellations of the zodiac. Another, a guide to Chinese magical symbols, and another showed a hand with fingers spreading each line on the palm, carefully labeled. Above the hand, Latin script spelled out the words in manibus fortuna, Fortuna, I'll say. It's Latin. I can't speak Latin. Even though Scrittore, her name is Latin. Why? Okay. Anyways. One of the bead curtains rattled and Madame Dorothea poked her head through. Interested in chiromancy, she said, noting Clary's gaze. Or just nosy. Neither, Clary said. Can you really tell fortunes? My mother had a great talent. She could see a man's future in his hand. In his hand or the leaves at the bottom of his teacup. She taught me some of her tricks. She transferred her gaze to Jace. Speaking of tea, young man, would you like some? What? Jace said, looking flustered. Tea. I find it both settles the stomach and concentrates the mind. Wonderful. Wonderful drink, tea. I don't really drink tea, guys. Or coffee. I'm one of those weird people who doesn't really, yeah, this person can see why we like it. So, yeah, guys. So let's get further with this. I'll have tea, Clary said, realizing how long it had been since she had eaten or drunk anything. She felt as if she'd been running on pure adrenaline since she woke up. Jay succumbed. All right, as long as it isn't Earl Grey, he added, wrinkling his fine-boned nose. I hate bergamot. Well, that's good to know. Madame Dorothea cackled loudly and disappeared back through the bead curtain, leaving it swaying gently behind her. Clary raised her eyebrows at Jace. You hate bergamot? Bergamot? Oh, this person's only on chapter 4. Well. Jace had wandered over to the narrow bookshelf and was examining its contents. You have a problem with it? You may be the only guy my age I've ever met who knows what bergamot is, much less that it's in Earl Grey tea. Well, yes, it's in Earl Grey. I don't drink tea, like I said, so I don't know the kinds of teas. Yes, well, Jace said with a I don't know this word. And I'm having trouble talking again. So, supercilious, it's spelt supercilious. For those of you who might know what that word is, good for you. I don't. And I was hitting the desk. Again, I do not know the word, so yeah, I can't really. I don't know it. I can just say how I think it's how it's pronounced. Supercilious. Supercilious. There. Look. I'm not like other guys. Besides, he added, flipping a book off the shelf. At the Institute, we have to take classes in basic medicine uses for plants. Wait, no, medicinal uses for plants. It's required. I figured all your classes were stuff like Slaughter 101 and Beheading for Beginners. Beheading for Beginners, okay. Jace flipped a page. Very funny for a... Hey, anyone recognize that line? Clary, who had been studying the palmistry poster, whirled on him. "Don't call me that." He glanced up, surprised. "Why not? It's your last name, isn't it?" The image of Simon rose up behind her eyes. Simon. The last time she had seen him staring after her as she ran out of Java Jones. She turned back to the poster, blinking. "No reason." "There is a reason, girl." "I see," Jace said, and she could tell from his voice that he did see, more than she wanted him to. She heard him drop the book back onto the shelf. "This must be the trash she keeps up front to impress credible mundanes," he said, sounding disgusted. "There's not one serious text here." "Wow, Jace." "Just because it's not the kind of magic you do," Claire began crossly. He scowled furiously, silencing her. "I do not do magic," he said. "Get it through your head. Human beings are not magic users. It's part of what makes them human. Warlocks can only use magic because they have demon blood." Clary took a moment to process this. "But I've seen you use magic. You use enchanted weapons." "I use tools that are magical, and just to be able to do that, I have to undergo rigorous training. The rune tattoos on my skin protect me too. If you try to use one of the seraph blades, for instance, it'd probably burn your skin, maybe kill you." "Ooh. What if I got tattoos?" Clary asked. "Could I use them then?" "No," Jay said crossly. "The marks are only part of it. There are tests, ordeals, levels of training. Look, just forget it, okay? Stay away from my blades. In fact, don't touch any of my weapons without my permission." "Well, there goes my plan for selling them on eBay," Clary muttered. "Selling them on what?" Okay. Shadowhunters, I must explain this to some of you. They're not connected to the world, to mundane world, technically. Like, they don't know about eBay. And this. Clary smiled blandly at him. A mythical place of great magical power." Hold on, I'll be back. Now, okay, now let's get back. Clary's just, oh, Clary. Jace looked confused, then shrugged. "Most myths are true, at least in part." "I'm starting to get that." "Yeah, you must get that. Most myths are actually true in the Shadowhunter world. They have a saying, all the stories are true. Ha. Okay. The bead curtain rattled again, and Madame Dorothea's head appeared. "Tea's on the table," she said. "There's no need for you two to keep standing there like donkeys." "Come into the parlor." "There's a parlor?" Clary said. "Of course there's a parlor," said Dorothea. "Where else would I entertain?" "I'll just leave my hat with the footman," said Jace. "Ah, yes." Madame Dorothea shot him a dark look. "If you were half as funny as you thought you were, my boy, you'd be twice as funny as you are." Yes. Just yes. She disappeared back through the curtain, her loud humph nearly drowned out by rattling beads. Jace frowned. "I'm not quite sure what she meant by that." Jace. "Really," said Clary. "It made perfect sense to me." She marched through the bead curtain before he could reply. The parlor was so dimly lit that it took several blinks for Clary's eyes to adjust. faint light outlined the black velvet curtains drawn across the entire left wall, stuffed birds and bats dangling from the ceiling on thin cords, shining dark beads where their eyes should have been. The floor was layered with frayed Persian rugs that spat up puffs of dust underfoot. A group of overstuffed pink armchairs were gathered around a low table. A stack of tarot cards bound with a silk ribbon occupied one end of the table, a crystal ball on a gold stand on the other, and in the middle of the table was a silver tea service, laid out for company, a neat plate of stacked sandwiches, a blue teapot unfurling a thin stream of white steam, and 2 teacups, one matching the saucer. Okay, hold on, I misread that. And 2 teacups on matching saucers, set carefully in front of the two armchairs. Wow, Clary said weakly. This looks great. She took a seat in one of the armchairs. It felt good to sit down. Dorothea smiled, her eyes glinting with a sly humor. Oh no, I'm losing my voice again. Okay. With a sly humor. Have some tea, she said, hefting the pot. Milk? Sugar? Clary looked sideways at Jace, who was sitting beside her and who had taken possession of the sandwich plate. He was examining it closely. Sugar, she said. Jace shrugged, took a sandwich, and set the plate down. Claire watched him warily as he bit into it. He shrugged again. Cucumber, he said, in response to her stare. I always think cucumber sandwiches are just the thing for tea, don't you? Madame Dorothy inquired, of no one in particular. I hate cucumber, Jace said, and handed the rest of his sandwich to Clary. She bit into it. It was seasoned with just the right amount of mayonnaise and pepper. Her stomach rumbled in grateful appreciation of the first food she tasted since the nachos she'd eaten with Simon. Cucumbers and bergamot, said Clary. Clary said, oh my God. Is there anything else you hate that I ought to know about? Jace looked at Dorothy over the rim of his teacup. Liars, he said. Calmly, the old woman set her teapot down. You can call me a liar all you like. It's true. I'm not a warlock, but my mother was. Jace choked on his tea. That's impossible. Why impossible? Claire said curiously. She took a sip of her tea. It was bitter, strongly flavored with a peaty smokiness. Jace expelled a breath. Because they're half human, half demon, all warlocks are crossbreeds. And because they're crossbreeds, they can't have children. They're sterile. Now, guys, so you know, it is true. Warlocks are sterile. And it is sometimes a little sad, because when you're reading from a warlock's perspective, like a female warlock, and she didn't know that she couldn't have children until she reads about it. Hint, hint. You'll find out when I read a certain book about it. About how it can feel. It can be a little odd, but it also makes sure that there are no more. It's also a way of having, like, no. It's like having a way of no, what am I trying to say? It's a way of almost making sure that there are no more warlocks and that there are only a few, whereas there's plenty of vampires and there's plenty of werewolves and fairies. God, there's a lot of fairies. Yeah, you will know. There's actually quite a bit of fairies. But it's all so... It's neat how this works. And it's all true, but it can be a little depressing to a female warlock, because maybe once she wanted to have children and she couldn't, so... But then some of the warlocks might adopt, maybe. Maybe. Just maybe. Just like apparently Dorothea's mother did. Dorothea's mother, adopted her. So, it's mostly the solution to wanting children for a warlock. Vampires can have kids, for Christ's sake. I learned that. So, anyways, let's get back to the book. Yeah, so where am I? Like mules, Clary said thoughtfully, remembering something from biology class. Mules are sterile crossbreeds. Your knowledge of livestock is astounding, said Jace. All downworlders are in some part demon, but only warlocks are the children of demon parents. It's why their powers are the strongest. What? But fairies... Jace, there's a problem there. Fairies are half demon, half angel, because they are basically, cross between... Well, technically, demons are just, fallen angels. Well, greater demons are anyways. So, I guess it would make sense. I guess it would make sense for that. But, honestly... Jace, there's a I just remembered that. Angels are the offspring of demons and angels, so they're half demon, half angel. But, okay, I'm just gonna say only the greater, some of the, greater demons, and demons that are like that, not are the ones that were fallen from that are fallen angels, I guess. The ones that are fallen angels and that have children with angels. I guess that's what fairies are. So that's probably why they can have kids. I don't know. I'm just thinking here. I'm thinking. Let my gears turn. Anyways, let's get back to the story. Vampires and werewolves. They're part demon too. They're part demon too. And fairies. Vampires and werewolves are the result of diseases brought by demons from their home dimensions. Most demon diseases are deadly to humans, but in these cases, they work strange changes on the infected without actually killing them, and fairies... yeah, there we go. Fairies are fallen angels, said Dorothea, cast down out of heaven for their pride. So, they're just like angels. Fairies are just angels. I thought... that's the legend, Jay said. It's also said that they're the offspring of demons and angels. That's where I was getting the offspring from. Yeah, okay. Which always seems more likely to me. Good and evil mixed together. Fairies are as beautiful as angels. Fairies are as beautiful as angels are supposed to be, but they have a lot of mischief and cruelty in them. And fairies can't lie. You'll know that. I just gave you a piece of information. You might forget when we read the second book, so yeah. But they have a lot of mischief and cruelty in them. Clary said, supposed to be. You mean angels don't? Enough about angels, said Dorothea, suddenly practical. It's true that warlocks can't have children. My mother adopted me because she wanted to make sure there'd be someone to attend to this place after she was gone. I don't have to master magic myself. I only have to watch and guard. Guard what? Said Clary. Asked Clary. Asked, not said. What indeed? With a wink, the older woman reached for a sandwich from the plate, but it was empty. Clary had eaten them all. God, Clary, you're hungry. Though you would expect her to be hungry for not eating for 3 days. But it was empty. Clary had eaten them all. Dorothea chuckled. It's good to see a young woman eat her fill. In my day, girls were robust, strapping creatures, not twigs like they are nowadays. Thanks, Clary said. She thought of Isabel's tiny waist and felt suddenly gigantic. She set her empty teacup down with a clatter. Instantly, Madame Dorothea pounced on the cup and stared into it intently, a line appearing between her penciled eyebrows. What? Clary said nervously. Did I crack the cup or something? Yeah, that's what you would think. She's reading your tea leaves, Jay said, sounding bored. But he leaned forward along with Clary's. Dorothea turned the cup around and around in her thick fingers, scowling. Is it bad? Clary asked. It is neither bad nor good. It is confusing. Dorothea looked at Jace. Give me your cup, she commanded. Jace looked affronted. But I'm not done with mine. The old woman snatched the cup out of his hand and splashed the excess tea back into the pot. Frowning, she gazed at what remained. I see violence in your future. A great deal of blood shed by you and others. You'll fall in love with the wrong person. Also, you have an enemy. Only one? That's good news. Jace leaned back in his chair as Dorothea put down his cup and picked up Clary's again. She shook her head. There is nothing for me to read here. The images are just jumbled, meaningless. She glanced at Clary. Is there a block in your mind? Clary was puzzled. A what? Like a spell that might conceal a memory or might have blocked out your sight. Clary shook her head. No, of course not. Jace leaned forward alertly. Don't be so hasty, he said. It's true that she claims not to remember ever having had the sight before this week. Maybe I'm just a late developer, Clary snapped. And don't leer at me. Just because I said that. Jace assumed an injured air. I wasn't going to. You were working up to a leer, I could tell. Maybe, Jace acknowledged, but that doesn't mean I'm not right. Something's blocking your memories. I'm almost sure of it. Very well, let's try something else. Dorothea put the cup down and reached for the silk-wrapped tarot cards. She fanned the cards out and held them out to Clary. Slide your hands over these until you touch one that feels hot or cold, or seems to cling to your fingers. Then draw that one and show it to me. Obediently, Clary ran her fingers over the cards. They felt cool to the touch and slippery, but none seemed particularly warm or cold, and none stuck to her fingers. Finally, she selected one, at random and held it up. Okay, guys. So she holds it up. Held up a card. Okay. Now, let's continue. Because I know what's going to happen. What it is, and you guys don't. And I'm smiling to myself. I have like this huge smile on my face. I'm in love with the series. Don't judge me. I love it. I also love how this is action, adventure, romance, fantasy, all this other stuff. It's really amazing. Yeah, got a message. Oh well. Oh wait. That person can wait. Why the love card was picked. On the front, thick with real paint, it showed a hand holding up a cup in front of a rayed sun gilt. Again, it's the G-I-L-T, not the G-U-I-L-T. The cup was made of gold, engraved with a pattern of smaller suns and studded with rubies. The style of the artwork was as familiar to her as her own breath. This is a good card, right? Not necessarily. The most terrible things men do, they do in the name of love. Said Madame Dorothea, her eyes gleaming. But it is a powerful card. What does it mean to you? She said Clary, and dropped the card onto the table. She did, didn't she? Dorothea nodded, a look of pleased satisfaction on her face. Dorothea sat back in her chair, the cards fanned out across her wide chest. Jocelyn knew what I was, and I knew what she was. She didn't talk about it much. Something she did favor. Like painting this pack of cards. Guys, I can't talk. And in return, I'd tell her the occasional piece of downright gossip. There was a name she asked me to keep an ear out for, and I did. Jace's expression was unreadable. What name was that? Valentine. Clary sat straight up in her chair. But that's... And when you say you knew what Jocelyn was, what do you mean? What was she? Jace asked. Jocelyn was what she was. Jocelyn was what she was, said Dorothea, but in her past she'd been like you, a shadow hunter, one of the Clave. No, Clary whispered. Dorothea looked at her with sad, almost kindly eyes. It's true. She chose to live in this house precisely because this is a sanctuary, Jace said to Dorothea. Isn't it? Your mother was a warlock. She made this space hidden, protected, probably surrounded by wards. It's a perfect spot. It's a perfect spot for downworlders on the run to hide out. That's what you do, isn't it? You hide criminals here. You would call them that, Dorothea said. You're familiar with the motto of the Covenant. Sed lex dura lex, said Jace automatically. The law is hard, but it is the law. That's bad. The law is hard, but it is the law. You have to follow these laws all the time. If you break one, you get sentenced to like banishment. You get your marks stripped, and you have to follow all these rules, or bad things may happen to you. Sometimes the law is too hard. I know the Clave would have taken me away from my mother if they could. You want me to let them do the same to others? Sorry, I do not know this word. Philanthropist, said Jace's lips curled. By the way, that word is spelled Philanthropist. Yes. For those of you who know what that word, how to pronounce it, please just like put a pronunciation thing with what to say when I say that word. Because I'd like to know. Philanthropist, I'll say. Jace's lip curled. I suppose you expect me to believe that downworlders don't pay you handsomely for the privilege of your sanctuary. Dorothea grinned, wide enough to show a flash of gold molars. We can't all get by on our looks like you. Jace looked unmoving by the flattery. I should tell the Clave about you. You can't. Claire was on her feet now. You promised. I never promised anything. Jace looked mutinous. He strode to the wall and tore aside one of the velvet hangings. You want to tell me what this is? He demanded. It's a door, Jace, said Clary. It was a door, set strangely in the wall between the two bay windows. Clearly it couldn't be a door that led anywhere, or it could have been visible from the outside of the house. It looked as if it were made of some softly glowing metal, more buttery than brass, but as heavy as iron. The knob had been cast in the shape of an eye. Shut up, Jace said angrily. It's a portal, isn't it? It's a 5-dimensional door, said Dorothea, laying the tarot cards back on the table. Dimensions aren't all straight lines, you know, she added, in response to Clary's blank look. There are dips and folds and nooks and crannies, all tucked away. It's a bit hard to explain when you've never studied dimensional theory, but in essence, that door can take you anywhere in this dimension that you want to go. It's an escape hatch, Jay said. That's why your mother wanted to live here, so she could always flee at a moment's notice. Clary began and broke off, suddenly horrified. Because of me, she said. She wouldn't leave without me that night, so she stayed. Jace was shaking his head. You can't blame yourself. Feeling tears gather under her eyelid, Clary pushed past the door. Clary pushed past Jace to the door. I want to see where she would have gone, she said, reaching for the door. I want to see where she was going to escape to. Clary, no! Jace reached for her, but her fingers had already closed around the knob. It spun rapidly under her hand, the door flying open as she pushed it. Dorothea lumbered to her feet with a cry, but it was too late. Before she could even finish her sentence, Clary found herself flung forward and tumbling through empty space. And there was chapter 7. Yeah, so she went through the portal, guys. And this is why the chapter's called 5-Dimensional Door. Yeah, I think that's the chapter. Yeah, I just put the book down, so... you only realize why it's called that until at the end of the chapter, because Dorothea says it's a 5-dimensional door. And then in the movie, yes, Jace, the portal is in the Institute, and Jace is there, and Jace is telling her about all the nooks and crannies and how dimensions aren't all straight lines and all that stuff. But again, it's how things are. Okay, so hope y'all enjoyed this. See y'all next time, probably in chapter 8.